Welcome to Game Woven, a collaborative storytelling collective building a world one game at a time. This week, we will be playing The Ground Itself by Everest Pipkin. If you like what we do here and want to get involved, follow us on Twitter at GameWoven, where you can join our Discord and check out our Patreon at patreon.com/GameWoven.
Previously on the Game Woven podcast. Each year, on the anniversary of the final battle of Blood River Bend, the people of Bronze Hollow hold a festival to commemorate the end of hostilities. Among the maypoles and stately marches, a priest weds those with bouquets of flowers to the ring bearers selected for them, efficiently sanctifying the families who will foster the next generation to bear the curse of ancient battles. The arranged marriage of Hunter Grey, son of the Marathonian, to Lenadia Zenakostovich, daughter of Archduke Vladislav Zenakostovich of the Undying Empire, ought perhaps to have been dark-portent enough. Grim weather warns grim times in the valley, and the 100th anniversary of the battle proved particularly grim. When grave insult turned Hunter Grey violently against his father-in-law, Archduke Zenakostovich tightened the fist of the Empire around the Bronze Hollow Valley. In the following 200 years of insurgency and stalemate, many have embraced the bestial power of their heritage to keep their home their own. Fear the knives of the Grey Folk. A familiar stranger continues to watch over the valley. Her companion remains present but ephemeral. The land is barred by cairns of discarded bronze weapons. For now.
All right, and we're back, and we are at the level of centuries now, so more broad things are going to be happening. The movement of civilizations can be like really rapid at this point. You know, we're talking, I mean, geez, even the 100 Years' War was only 100 years when you take things into perspective like this, right? So there's kind of a wide amount of things that we can cover.
World War I was 110 years ago.
Yeah. How much has changed?
I hate that, thanks.
Okay. All right, Bree, sometime in the span of centuries after the beginning of this giant war, your prompt is another 4. The church changes a core mandate. What is the church, and what about their worldview has shifted?
So do I have to do it within the context of these 4 towns, or could it be something that was like an impact of this?
No matter what, the impact must be felt in this geographical area that we're describing, because we cannot pull away unless you choose to do a focused event like shifting the frame or whatever else. But it has to do with the church and how they change, whatever that is.
So we did discuss that there was a sort of a faith and religion centering around a potential described as like a goddess of peace or god of peace, whichever, probably depends on who you ask. But a lot of that was focused firmly on the practices that were part of their everyday life that was meant to keep the curse intact. But now they have a better understanding and different viewpoint after 200 years, and they have the Grey Folk walking among them, those who have accepted the curse but not completely given into it, and seen the way that's changed them, and the fact that this didn't save us, but we're still us and we're still living, and like maybe the way we've been looking at this the whole way has been wrong. So over the past 200 years, the church has been reevaluating. So maybe not just what peace means, but like, what are they supposed to believe now?
Do they even still worship that same goddess?
Could be. Yeah.
I think they they do, but I think their relationship with her and how they view her has changed. Because peace does not look the same as it once did, because they could end this war and there would be no more war. But they also know the impact of that is not worth the cost.
Maybe she's turning into more of like a goddess of like restraint.
She was a goddess of restraint, and worship of this goddess is always about performing placidity. What it sounds like to me, as people are embracing the curse, as the Grey Folk are proving that you can be born, live, and die a good life, and not just be managing this curse your entire life. Worship has transitioned from being this performative serenity to inner peace. It's not about projecting this into the world anymore. It's about finding, how do you live with yourself? Not how do we live together. It is, how do you live with yourself?
Yeah.
That's something I ask myself every day in the mirror. Look in my own eyes and ask, how do you live with yourself?
It's probably also a lot of changing how they live with each other, because who I am and who you are different, but learning to like truly accept people for who they are, because I think that's always been something, but the way that looks like and the weight and the meaning behind it has changed.
Yeah, maybe it's less regimented.
Right. Well, now it's more individualistic, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they're still willing to stand together. People are still there. They haven't all left off to, like, who knows where, or down to Bazburg.
All right.
Which, by the way, Bazburg has probably been up to some shit.
Bazburg, definitely a sleeping giant here, that the city under the river that no one is talking about, that all the lost souls find themselves in, and they're just chilling. Lex.
Yeah.
I have drawn an ace. What are the plants like in this place? The rocks, the soil, especially after the events that have been taking place.
Ooh, yeah, the local trees have for sure learned how to use all of the banded weapons. They are carnivorous.
They're like sword trees.
Yeah. They for sure, as they grow around the weapons and like in the root and everything. If you get too close, just like stabby.
So the plant life is actually growing more hostile.
Don't fuck around with these halberd willows.
Yeah, halberd willow. Yeah.
Halberd willows. Oh my
Halberd
god.
willows. The name like arrowroot came to mind.
Ooh,
Arrowroot is a good
I
one.
feel like that's like a long shafted,
Like the reeds.
like a reed. Yeah. In a pinch, you can actually use them as an arrow.
Yeah.
Like they grow very straight.
When I heard that, my thought was, someone's walking by a tree, pisses off a tree, you just see this arrowhead just shoot out from under the ground, pierce them through the side, they're just like, and like fall over and dead. It's like,
There is a tree in real life where like its seeds like fucking explode. And
Bronze Age tech. We gotta roll this back.
Yeah, but magic though. Come on.
Putting the word cherry bomb to like real use here.
Let's go on to Rob, the 5 of Hearts. What secrets are kept in our place? Why are they kept? By who and from whom?
I mean, Bazburg is
Bazburg.
definitely it's gotta be the biggest secret.
the secret of Bazburg, yeah.
There's clearly some kind of like overarching magic about this region, right? Like there's the curse, but like the weather also is affected by the people, and that might not just be the curse, right? That might have preceded the curse. People don't know. So I feel like there is just a supernatural force that protects the secrets of Bazburg from the people of Zehollow. It could be an entity. It could just be like the rules of this region that just emphatically that's its purpose.
So the answers are in Bazburg somewhere.
Yeah.
Hwah!
Because I feel like that was a bit of a vague answer. I'm going to give one detail about Bazburg.
Let's go.
Go ahead, please.
Bazburg, so it's underneath the river, and the shape of the town is a dam. So it's as if you took a dam in the river and sunk it underneath the river.
Intriguing.
And is it in the same place the bridge once was?
Maybe exactly the same spot.
To do that, you will have to solve the riddle of Bazburg.
Yeah.
Zad, name a monument, marker, statue, or other physicalized memory that exists in this place. What does it mark?
So, before the present stalemate, this is kind of like the last time that the Bazburg Bridge appeared. Fort Nadia had been used at that point for quite some time as the Imperial staging ground in order to move into the Bronze Hollow region, especially since the terrain was so treacherous and difficult over in Finchen. And as a symbol of Imperial control at the time, they had erected a monument to Archduke Vladislav Zanakostovich in the middle of the square in Fort Nadia. Just him riding his big water-running lizard, his sword held high, and his other hand was actually what they used for the gallows. Dark people. These guys suck. So he would be riding his big, 10-foot tall lizard, holding a noose so that traitors to the Emperor knew what was waiting for them, and that there was nowhere that they could run to. However, the Bazburg Bridge reappeared one day, and the Grey Hunters just fucking swarmed over it. They poured into Fort Nadia, and they broke open the stockade, freed a bunch of people, just generally caused mayhem. And the locals there, the other bearers of the curse, the other people who were local to the Bronze Hollow Valley, knew that this was their time. Nobody knows why. There are whispers about stories that had been told. This was a long time ago at this point, but the Great Exodus, when people fled, and one of the last things that the Grey Hunters did was they knocked over that statue, and they broke it into... Did they break it into several pieces? No, they just 8 of them hopped on the damn thing, and they just picked it up and they ran. And they were the first ones who managed to make it across the Bazburg Bridge. And yeah, half of the people that fled the town disappeared when the bridge went away, but they managed to make it over with this bronze statue of an asshole on a lizard.
Just have it there?
Yeah, it's just sitting on the far end of the river.
It's replaced the maypole.
They put the maypole things in
They put the maypole
hand
in his hand. Yeah. Instead, yeah. And
I
so
love it.
that's how he's leaned over. They've completely defaced it so that the face looks different. They repaint it frequently, and you can still see it from Fort Nadia. Just it's sitting there, shining on the opposite shore. And it's been there for 200 years. Or for 100 years.
All right. I will take my turn. I have drawn the 9 of diamonds. The prompt is, what do people eat and drink here? What is considered traditional? I don't feel like I want to play around in that space. Instead, I want to see an omen.
Ooh.
Then something bad happened.
And something terrible happened. On the 311th, on the 3, Benjamin, brain, do smart, brain. You can do it.
You can do it.
On the 300th anniversary of the return of Hunter Grey, we're about 411 years after the Battle of Blood River Bend. Where the bridge would normally be, seemingly overnight after a terrible night of bad weather, there is an apparent avalanche from further upstream that stops and dams up the river at the exact spot of the bridge.
Huh.
Like just giant rocks and mud. Just all like one day there's nothing. It's just bad weather, and now boom, there's a dam.
I hate it.
Oh, which means people can cross now.
They can cross now, but it's treacherous.
Was the bridge going over a ravine? Like how
It was a river, right?
Yeah, it was a river.
Yeah.
well, a river can still be at the bottom of a ravine.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You make a good point.
You could still have cliffs.
So, Lex, I think I feel the question that you're about to ask.
Where'd the water go?
Good question. That's why it's an omen and not just a natural disaster.
I would assume it just kept flowing.
Well, it's not flowing over the dam.
Is it just flooding now? Is there a lake now? Or like...
Yeah, no, it's as if, okay, you got river, dam, and everything stopped. There's no overflow.
No logical explanation as to what's
Yeah.
happening with water.
It
Gotcha,
does
okay.
not make sense.
Gotcha. Just checking.
Good. Got it. Great.
Travel God, baby. Let's go.
That absolutely fucked up the local ecology because they depended on that river, as we've established.
Oh.
So that did ruin so many lives.
They really should have done an ecological survey before.
The implications of something being dammed up for a long period of time and what happens when that dam breaks.
There's a whole song about that by Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin.
Anyway,
Did this motherfucker just say Red Zeppelin?
I did.
let's just move on from that.
I was just like, I thought you were trying to do a bit.
I am. I'm always trying to do a bit. That's true. You caught me.
I will say that probably changed some shit in Bazburg because they were under the river. Now they're under the not river.
Maybe they are. Maybe they aren't.
Let's find out what the next prompt is, and then we'll find out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Yes. The implications of what I have done.
This is exactly what the omen is supposed to do. It's just supposed
Okay.
to set something up and change what the next prompts are supposed to be like. So you're totally good.
Yeah. All right, Bree. You might have an opportunity to answer. Someone or a group leaves this place. Who are they and why are they leaving? What do they take with them and what do they leave behind?
Are we still doing centuries, by the way?
Yes, we're still in a time scale of centuries.
Okay.
Deep beneath this area that we find ourselves in the city of Bazburg, a place no one knows anything about. A place that throughout history hasn't really sent anybody out. They've accepted people and they've never really sent anybody out. Someone is sent from Bazburg through underground city series of tunnels that lead to God knows where. Do you think they sent out a couple runners with messages? Different places, and they're going all entirely underground, so no one knows if this is happening, but something has changed in Bazburg.
Not somewhere in this region, just leaving the region, you're saying?
Yeah.
Hmm.
They're sending runners out through underground tunnels that, as far as anyone can tell, probably might go underneath the whole entire continent. We don't know.
Oh.
Welcome to the Underdark.
That's fantastic. Lex, another 9, 3 9s in a row.
Okay.
There is planning going on into a celebration. Is it a festival, holiday, or remembrance? What is being celebrated?
Ooh. Question: What are the options if I don't want to do this one? I cannot remember.
Great question. You can tell a story, throw a party, discover something, see an omen. You could also leave the fray.
Or you can skip.
Yep.
Leave the frame.
Yeah. So, for instance, if you wanted to see what the Empire, like, outside of this region is like for just a moment, you could leave the frame and do that.
If you want to see where the Bazburgians end up, you could do that. Many options.
Like, also tell a story.
You could tell a
That's
story.
true. I will say it's very literal, as in you adopt or invent a storytelling character in-game, briefly describe them, and then tell a story.
Oh.
We are the audience.
Yep.
Ah.
And the audience of the podcast is also
Yes,
the
is
audience.
also the audience.
Oh, okay. So this is me monologuing now. Very cool. I'm not nervous about that. Thank you for that so much.
You don't have to do that. You can do
No, I'm
something
gonna
else.
do it. Fuck you.
Okay, cool.
Let's set the scene. You got this.
We could actually have the party. That's an option.
No, fuck you. It's too late now. Commit to the bit.
We're doing story time.
Story time. So, I think the storyteller at least claims to be a direct descendant of Gray and Lenadia. She has taken the supposed family name of Lenadia herself. She is with several Grey Hunters, and she's regaling them of the story of her ancestors and how this stalemate began in the first place, and how she wants to have actual peace for once. And she thinks that the only way this story ends is with the destruction of those that seek our end. And she goes to grab a spear, a bronze spear in the ground that has been untouched for now 500 years. It is in perfect condition, ready to go, and none have dared to do such a thing in so long that no one really remembers what is going to happen.
What happens?
What happened?
We try the next card,
The
obviously.
story.
You listeners, what do you think happened?
Oh God.
I think a couple people get excited. They've been stirred into like a fervor, and you see a couple other of these bronze weapons being pulled out of the ground by different amount of people as they like also give in to their curse and start to shift and take on these forms as they pull all these weapons out of the ground.
You see that figure again. And please don't let it happen again. Not again.
There's a Grey Hunter who sees their fellows beginning to take up the old weapons again, and looks to one side, and there is the hilt of a gladius is sticking out of a rock, and they look at it and they know that sword was dropped here 500 years ago for me. And they look at it, and in the back of their mind they hear something that had been bandied about, something that had been said, and that's fear the knives of the Grey Hunters. And they don't reach for the sword that had been left for them, because they already have their own knives.
I think this hunter and another hunter depart camp. I think they leave that night. And I think something happens. These are two gray folk who are going back into where they go. I think the camp of gray folk who have picked up their weapons, which is a pivotal moment. They've picked up the ancient brazen weapons. I think this changes them somehow. I think we get a different type of folk from them. I remember a lot of the imagery about the Grey Hunters had to do with their eyes. And I think what happens is the whites of the eyes of the brazen folk become as like bronze. Metallic, shimmering, orangish brown eyes. Kind of hollow, kind of dead, with no iris and barely visible pupils. And this turns into, over the course of the, because we have a long stretch of time, a separate culture that schisms off of the people of this valley.
The Brazens are raiders.
I think the Brazens think that they are the ancestral inheritors of the Bronze Hollow Valley. I think that's what happens, because the weapons are meant for them, and therefore so is the land.
That figure's watching in the background. Well, some hope. Don't see this ending anytime soon. Not quite done yet. Talking to the slightly more visible figure next to her.
Rob,
Mhm.
there is a union. Is it political, emotional, marital? What is newly aligned?
Ooh. I want to leave the frame.
Okay. Let's go. Let's go. Get out of that frame.
We see Fort Lenadia, and we follow a caravan, a large group caravan leaving the city, pulled by drakes, right? And we watch it wind for weeks out of the valley into much more hospitable, less cursed places, and into a massive city. I mean, we've seen large settlements like this. It's not a tiny place where we've been, but this is a true capital city. Thousands and thousands of people, all dedicated to their emperor. And we see this caravan coming in, cheered, celebrated, revered, bringing in some kind of momentous news. We see the head of the fort with some kind of bookish looking figure step in front of the emperor saying, "We have finally something to show the true might of the empire," as this bookish figure draws a steel blade and displays it to the emperor.
Oh no, their tech level went up. I love it.
Ben, can I steal that card that you drew for Rob?
You want that card? Sure.
That's fair.
Yeah, take the card about the union because the next one was going to be kind of boring anyway. In the context. Cards are interesting, but in the context of where we're at right now, it wasn't going to...
There is a... Could you reread the prompt real quick?
There is a union. Is it political, emotional, marital? What is newly aligned?
Okay, so in the 800 years since the Battle of Blood River Bend, we've obviously had this stalemate for quite some time. The Undying Empire continues to not die, and in the last 100 years, the Years of Steel, the Undying Empire has only expanded, has only found themselves moving outwards. That bookish figure invented steel in order to combat the Brazen, and the Emperor took it, and the Emperor fired up the foundries, and then the Emperor completely forgot that Blood River Bend existed. And this place has been ignored. The Imperial detachment at Fort Lenadia is constantly harried by brazen assaults. And yet, they're getting their steel weapons in, and it's becoming... But it's far from an Imperial priority, until finally, one day, striding across from one side of the dam in the middle of the river is Vladislav Zanikostovich, and at his side is his daughter.
Lenadia?
Nope, this is his next daughter, his daughter Kanastia. And they meet in the middle, and coming from the other side are two people with eyes that are of bronze. And the older one shakes Archduke Vladislav's hand, and then the two children are made to stand next to one another, and a priest appears. And the Brazen are recognized as the rightful leaders of the Blood River Bend. This is officially declared to be their tribal lands, their traditional tribal lands. Obviously, they will be making their tithes to the Emperor, and they will be making that tithe in the fearsome warriors that the Brazen have become famous for. And so their children are being sold off to the Emperor.
God damn it.
Empire to go fight in the wars as finally, after 600 years, Vladislav Zanakostovich finally gets that alliance that he had wanted to make.
Yeah, is this Vladimir? Is this the same Vladimir?
Well, yeah, they're vampires. It's the Undying Empire.
Incredible. Got it. Okay. That?
Okay.
What, did you think I was joking? No. These motherfuckers are from the Deadlands.
Oh, son of
The
a
aristocracy
bitch.
is entirely vampires. Lenadio was a Damphir.
That hit that you dropped 3 hours ago, we missed it.
I never heard you say that at any point.
My brain was
sure you
not ready
did.
for vampires.
This is the first time the word vampire has come out of
Oh, this is the first time vampires come up. There's an undead.
Yeah.
There's an undead empire, baby.
Yep. Okay, cool.
We have been yes-anded. Thank you.
Incredible.
The shit has been yes-anded out of
Oh,
us.
they're vampires, obviously.
Obviously.
Listen, Archduke Zanakostovich finally brought peace to the Blood River Bend. At long last. All glory to the Emperor.
No,
It was
My-
fine before he showed up.
literally, he did this.
Shh.
Yeah.
Hi.
Oh my god.
This is an empire.
Which means he was there watching all of this happen.
Yeah.
And he could have stopped it at literally any time.
Yeah, but they took his statue.
Yeah.
They did take his statue, you're right.
Does
Yeah,
the
that's
statue get
true.
returned as part of the dowry?
Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not.
So the Grey Folk hit it before, like,
It is
someone
a-
somehow heard that this was coming and made the statue disappear before that could happen.
I do have a question. Does the bridge reappear with this new piece?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No.
Because you know the Brazen are about to turn around and just slaughter the Grey Folk and everyone else because this is ours.
Like they could. We made the Brazen so rad, but they will eventually fall. If this were a video game, they are early game builds. They fall off in the late game when tech advances.
I love the Brazen. Honestly, like, we've got some really cool playable ancestries already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Brazen are Imperial shock troopers now.
Yeah. Well, because that's the thing. They get shipped off and equipped in steel, and all of a sudden,
Oh, the question is, do they allow themselves to be equipped in steel?
well, if they are being like indoctrinated,
Mm.
right?
I think there might be purists and there might not be. There's probably some like shifts in like what.
Yeah, I was wondering if there's like a magical reason they couldn't use steel, or if they. Yeah, that's what I was curious about.
We'll find out.
It's also enchanted and cursed bronze.
Could be. Well, I'll tell you one thing. They don't use Imperial standard weapon.
For sure.
Yes.
They use
No.
the weapon that was meant for them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
They can absolutely like Mjolnir, Thor that shit from wherever, you know?
Oh
Mhm.
God, they're so cool. I want to be one.
In the Warhammer version of this, you gotta play Undying Empire.
I'm gonna.
Buy the models.
Under the Ace, the news is dramatic and tensions are high. What is the news? How is the reaction physicalized in space? So, this is after the Brazen are given the Blood River Bend, which it is now officially called because it is technically an Imperial Protectorate.
The locals still don't call it that though.
No, they still call it Bronze Hollow or just Zehollow.
Yeah, it's Zehollow now. Yeah.
Yeah, Zehollow, which is spelled Zeollow.
I was saying it's like Massachusetts rules where it the way it's pronounced looks nothing like it's spelled.
Nothing at all. Okay.
It's bronze, ZE, and then hollow, ZEHOLLO.
Oh God.
It looks like Zehollow.
Yeah, but it's Zehollow.
Yeah.
That's how you know if someone's local
Yeah.
or a spy. If they spot the dark.
The shocking news, which comes to the Blood River Bend, is the return of someone whose lineage is directly traceable to Hunter Grey. meaning there is a challenge to the ownership because Hunter Grey, of course, is descendant from the Marathonian. And that's when the Civil War starts.
So I will say, Hunter Grey also married the daughter of an archduke, dude. If they wanted to, there's like a really loose claim, right?
Well, in that wedding, they never actually got married. So maybe in the eyes of the Empire, right? Like they eloped, basically.
Oh.
Okay, gotcha.
And she's estranged. Now, if the Archduke were killed, they could make a case.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Archduke and the older two daughters. Remember, she's the third daughter.
Yeah.
So there's three people that,
Hey, all I'm hearing is it's only hit list of 3 people. So
I mean,
Yeah.
that's
that's doable in a weekend.
You picked the right weekend. You got them all.
Yeah, exactly. Wait till Christmas? Done.
Vampire Christmas. All right, let's go to Bree. Hey, Bree, guess what? I got a 10, Bree.
Eh.
Do you want me to roll randomly for the prompt questions? Or do you want to pick freely?
Roll for it. Let the dice decide. They did really well last time.
Dice say 2. Oh, there is a great victory that enables the inhabitants of our place to build towards a new future. What is this future they wish for? How will they set to work on it?
Well, the great victory is indirect because a tragedy struck.
No, come on, we could give him a happy ending. No,
We've still
come
got
on.
2 more cycles.
I know, I'm just saying. We could give him joy for once.
As a tragedy struck the Kostovich family.
What happened?
No one knows. They've vanished. There were signs of a struggle, signs that there was like a fight, there was blood everywhere, but no one found anything.
Whoa.
So without him pushing for this as much, the army, like, they're trying to expand, so the Emperor's just like, massive bureaucracy things happen, and the army gets moved, and it's like, yeah, sure, we'll get someone else in there, and it just doesn't happen because Kostovich is gone, not there to do anything about it. So people are able to spread out and reclaim their homeland, because also a lot of the Brazen are still gone. And as you look below ground, you see those runners returning.
The grip of this like very ambitious general is lifted, and now like everyone can just sort of inhale.
Yeah.
So like the Brazen are mostly gone, so it's just the Grey folk and the like not just normal accursed people, normal quote unquote, who are now like refilling back the land.
I'm sure there's still Brazen though.
Right.
Yeah.
Like most of them have been sent away, and there's just like the people who were too old to send away of the Brazen folk.
Yeah, there's absolutely families who are like, yeah, my kid, he grabbed his weapon. We're not going to tell anyone because they have to go to war.
Yeah. There's like cells of Brazen.
And I was like, they know that this could happen again. It's not necessarily over, but this chapter of it's over. So they get peace, and as we fade out on the scene, we see the runners have come back.
And does anything happen with the river or the bridge
Oh, okay,
in this
gotcha.
new age?
I think we find out in the next, don't we? So I have rolled the die, and let's do years.
I like where we're at. I want to go slower.
Yeah, I want to live in this moment. So let's talk about the years following the birth of this piece coming up. The first prompt is going to be for Lex. I have a 3. Ooh. Oh. What do people listen to and perform here? What is considered the folk art?
You know, I am a sucker for art and music, but also there's some more interesting stuff going on right now. Like, way more interesting things going on right now.
Real quick, I just want to establish, so we are probably about 600 years post the Battle of Blood River 1, because when the Descendants reemerged, that was 500 years ago.
We're further.
800?
We're 800.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just
800?
wanted-
So, like, at this point, how much of the curse could still exist, except for in those who embraced it and became the Grey Folk?
I was gonna say the opposite. Of everyone who lives here who hasn't just moved here probably has the curse at this point, right?
I was going to say something about the brazen specifically, because
Okay.
there can only be as many brazen as there are weapons.
Oh,
True.
yeah.
So there's a hard limit to how many brazen.
Oh shit.
And also, there might be a few weapons that will be forever unclaimed. Because didn't we establish like it's because someone in your family was in that battle that you were a direct descendant, right?
Mhm.
So clearly, the weapon sticks with the family. So if for some reason that family tree ends, that weapon goes unclaimed or whatever.
Sure.
So eventually, you can run out of brazen.
Yeah.
Unless you refresh the valley with fresh blades, which there have been a lot of blades. So, there have been additional opportunities to get more brazen with the discarded weapons of the people that have died in the last 500 years of war.
The curse still work with those weapons as opposed to the weapons that were there when the curse was created.
But yeah, it just means that like if a brazen dies without having a kid, that weapon's inert now.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the end.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know why I brought that up. It just occurred to me. I just want to say it out loud.
No, it was very cool.
No, I like it. No, it's good to know. Good to know.
I just want to figure out the actual prompt I'm going for before we continue.
Do you want a reminder of the situations?
Yeah, tell a story, party.
Discover something. So you just name a fact that enters the world whole cloth. See an omen, leave the frame.
Discover the secret of Bazburg.
I was actually gonna do that. Bazburg finally reveals itself. They allow themselves to come out from hiding. They have yet to tell anyone why. And over the last year or so, they've tried to integrate themselves more and more into the society that's formed here. And also, there's one of them who refers to himself as a bridge caller. He can supposedly call the bridge at will. He has yet to prove it.
What are the Bazburgians? What are they?
They'd all be gray folk.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like, do they do fish mutations instead of like land animal mutations?
Maybe a mix.
Could be.
Yeah.
So I'd say, yeah, it would make sense that they have a lot of Grey Folk because that's where a lot of the ones
Who've been called away.
Because they were gray folk that called away, and then they became a village of only gray folk. So the gray folk in them has to be pretty strong.
Yeah.
And also that means they probably have some really hardcore brazen down there. They can do the things brazens do. They just weren't part of the faction that became brazen,
Mm.
So there's probably whatever we'd call those. There'd be a new kind of brazen.
I was gonna say like past wielders or something like that.
I mean, like ultimately everyone would just call them brazen still, but like they wouldn't call themselves brazen. They'd be like, "What the fuck,
Yeah.
brazen?"
Oh, maybe like something like lineage wielder, something like that.
What if the reason that they're able to do some of what the Brazen did is because it was Grey Folk that intermarried with the Bazburgians? People who were not connected to the curse at all versus the people who only married and continued within those towns. That's why the curse is still just as strong.
Oh, you know what makes them different? Because the other brazen gray folk kept intermingling with people who weren't from the area. They're mostly all still like one family. Like this guy is connected to one weapon. If a bunch of the families got together, it'd be one guy connected to several.
Ooh. Oh my god.
So some of this from Bazburg are like walking arsenals at this point, right? Like that's gotta be a thing. Yeah, that's gotta be a thing, right? Logically, I don't know. This is fake fantasy magic. It makes sense to me though.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like it. I like it.
Yeah, the fucking Bass Guard.
The Bath Guard.
Yes.
The Bass Pros.
No.
Where do they buy their equipment? Obviously, the Bass Pro's shop.
That's
Yeah.
It's a giant pyramid.
Incredible. Okay.
Maybe you can tell the difference because the eyes are a little different too. Maybe they have like a bit of a glue or like a blue or like a smoky sheen to them.
I think theirs are like the river.
Mhm.
Yeah, they've got there's a little bit of like watery tarnish to them. That's actually pretty appealing. That's cool. I like that.
They are the coolest guys so far, but they're called the Bass Guard.
No, come on.
I'm sure we can come up with something else.
There's
We
gotta
can
be-
come up with something better.
My other
We
thought was instead of the gray folk, like the ash folk.
The Ash Folk.
or the Memento Born.
Memento Born.
Memento Born.
Okay.
I like Ash Folk better than that, actually.
Curseborn.
Curseborn?
The Tarnished.
Tarnished.
River Tarnished.
Tarnished.
Foul tarnished.
Oh, tarnished.
Yes.
Rise, tarnished, and light the flame.
Full name is the River Tarnished, or the River Tarnished Blade is the central myth of the River Tarnished Blade. And that's, just the Tarnished. Yeah.
And they've probably got all these like Zen style practices where they talk about like how the river changes the blade, or like you quench the white hot blade in the river and it does something to it, and like all this other stuff.
Foul tarnished.
So what if part of the original war that started all of this was started by one group of people trying to protect whoever lived in Bazburg?
Who knows?
We'll find out, I guess.
We'll have to find out, won't we?
That was like the families that remained that stayed there were connected to the army that was trying to protect them.
Maybe.
I will point out in my notes, I did write down Bass Guard and then cross it out for tarnished. I was fully ready to commit to Bass Guard.
I'm sure the listeners will have something to say about the Bass Guard.
Yeah.
Let's go to Rob. I don't even know if we actually did a prompt there, Lex, but like that
was a make a discovery.
that was the discovery, right? Okay. Rob, a 7 here. What is the most beautiful thing in our place?
Oh. The Bazburgians.
The Bazburgers.
Bazburgers. So no, that's the ruling elite of Bazburg. Are the Bazburgers with GH? Clearly, every Bazburger is a Bazburgian, but not every Bazburgian is a Bazburger.
Of course. How silly of us.
We should not have called that place Bazburg.
So we've established there are these weapons that lose the curse, right? Like the family line dies out, and so those weapons just are normal again. They're not cursed, and the Bazburgians collect them, and because the river is still blocked, right, from that omen hundreds of years ago, it's not functional. But the citizens of Bazburg have created as a symbol of the years to come a bridge made out of those now uncursed weapons.
Oh,
That's actually cute.
that's
I
fantastic.
like that.
It is known as the Doomed Bridge because everyone is just waiting for it to be destroyed by the real bridge.
Coming back for the last time.
It's a monument that people want to fall away.
That's
But-
fantastic.
What if the real bridge is the bridge we made along the way? What if that?
Nope.
I swear to God, Lex, if I find your weapon in the killing fields, I'm snapping it over my knee, and then you'll never become a brazen.
No, come on! It was a yo-yo. Come on!
All right, Zad, are you ready for the exact opposite prompt as what Rob had?
Oh, fuck yeah, let's do it.
All right, here we go. In the sick, what is the most horrible thing in our place?
Oh. Yeah, it's the Brazen's Beerhall. Think back to your Beowulf. You've got Hrothgar's Mead Hall. The Brazen leader, he styles himself as the Marathonian. That's not an official imperial title. Yeah, he's technically he'd be like a count.
Like he'd be given a rank, but nothing huge.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, he's the Count of the Blood River Bend.
Sick name, by the way.
The Count of the Blood River Bend? Who doesn't want to be that? Oh, man.
Right? It's sick as fuck.
The current one it's Slayer. Or they went back to that tradition of having your job description. So he's Slayer Brazen.
Is his last name just Brazen? That's sick.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, he took it over when he is the Marathonian, he is the Count of Blood River Bend, he is Slayer Brazen. And that place is just like, you know, it's the beer hall from, like, because they grow barley and hops and all those things, so they brew beer in the around Blood River Bend. And it's just where all of these big meathead, just violent. The curse is about generational trauma, and it is people who have embraced the absolute worst version of that. And when they aren't out re-traumatizing themselves, slaughtering the enemies of the Emperor, they just drink and fuck, and you don't go near it. You don't go near it unless you have no other choice. And the Brazen will ensure that you have no other choice if they want you there.
I hate that.
Oof.
The seat of Imperial power is technically still in Fort Lenadia, but everybody knows if you want to speak to the Marathonian, you gotta go to the beer hall.
Gross.
Mm-hmm.
Unpleasant. Dislike him. You have made a thoroughly unpleasant individual.
We need villains.
Yeah, we got hella villains. All right, into the twos. What is produced in our place right now, and how does it make its way into the wider world? Is this export a physical good, knowledge, or something else? Well, obviously, the best warriors come from the Blood River Bend. But I'll tell you what else has been adopted in the wider world. The Postal Service.
Runners,
baby.
During the skirmishes, during the standoff, we're talking like a 500-year on-again, off-again kind of battle that went on and on and on until it finally ended with the death of the general that was just really, really obsessed with taking this place over. When the Empire took it over, they realized one of the reasons why the warriors of the Bronze Hollow Valley were able to constantly outmaneuver and beat much, much larger forces is because they just knew everything that was going on in the valley, and they had immaculate information control. And part of that is because of the runners. The runners, the post office, how they file the information, how they keep it secret, all of that stuff. The Empire got all of that information, learned how all of it worked, and adopted it throughout their section of the continent.
Oh, they have the CIA now.
Yeah. So they do have some, vampire secret police, and they also have the vampire post office, which is my favorite emo band.
They can have runners who never get tired.
True.
Yeah.
They have undead runners who can just run always.
That's fucked up.
And if they're a complete thrall, you can tell them, you can give them explicit instructions, and they will never betray you.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, who wants to overthrow the Empire?
We're not in that region, unfortunately.
Yep, we don't know how big the Empire is.
Also, something that's probably a benefit to the vampires is the whole weather thing getting darker as.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably a benefit. Because I imagine they're still, sun bad. Because that's like the one thing that's constant about vampires, except for, those one.
Sun bad, running water usually bad.
True. The vampires did it. They put the dam there. They fucking did it.
Could be.
The vampires.
Uh,
For
yeah,
sure,
part
a
of-
camp of conspiracy theorists who are like,
Oh,
the vampires
100%.
were there.
And they're led by a brazen dude who will not shut up about it.
Yeah, he does not shut the fuck up. His
Yeah,
weapon of choice is just like a brazen steak or something. I don't know.
All right, let's get to Bree. Bree, your prompt in the aces. It is time to plant the seedlings, I say with scare quotes. What are the seedlings, scare quotes, and where are they planted? What is the harvest that is hoped for? I think the implication here is that you can interpret seedlings however you want.
As I'd say, can I get metaphorical with this?
You can do whatever you want.
Honestly, you're supposed to.
Yeah.
That's what the quotes are for.
The people of this area just watched how the Empire works and how they try and bully their way around, how they've ripped off how the postal service and the information services works. They've said, you know what? I think it might be time to start spreading the seeds of rebellion. Not directly, very subtly. They didn't share all of the secrets of how their system works. And there's also the fact that Bazburgians can show them all the tunnels that go under the ground.
Oh, I love that Bree's been setting up her own plot in the corner this whole time.
Yeah.
And every now and again, we're like, what? And
Hell
then
yeah.
she brings it back. I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. Keep going.
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
They start gathering information, finding allies. They're not looking for a bloodbath, but they know, if we're smart about this, we can't be the only ones, and we can, even if we don't take them down, we can make it better. So they start slowly, arranging for the spread of information. Probably, actually, maybe using some of the Bazburgians, because, anyone, keeping an eye on the town may not know about a lot of them. So they can, disappear and go underground for a while, and when they pop up, no one will notice.
Just from a philosophic and an ideological perspective, you've got this combination of the Bazburg relatively enlightened self-sufficiency that has constantly been taking in foundlings over the last almost a millennium, and then you've got the culture of the Grey Folk who have been fighting a 600-year guerrilla war.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Against
geez.
everyone.
And we have established that this is actually a perfect region to start a information hub because it is central.
Mhm.
It is a central location that
Mhm.
wasn't used a lot for a long time, but it is still central. It has that huge river.
And these are also people who have been placed under burdens people couldn't even realize, and they're starting to find freedom. They're like, let's do something with it.
All right, moving on. Let's go to Lex. Guess what I got, Lex?
Card.
I got a 10. The end of this cycle. What a fitting one. What a fitting end to this cycle. Lex, would you like a random 10 prompt, or do you wish to pick from the list?
Ooh, I'm a table enjoyer.
All right. Here we go. Someone important, socially, politically, or emotionally in this place dies. Who were they and how were they killed? How are they remembered after?
Ooh, that's hard. Oh, the guy who claimed to be the bridge caller? Someone in the Empire caught wind of hints of, is that rebellion I smell? And they heard about the bridge caller, the dude who could supposedly just summon a magic bridge that can go anywhere. Not gonna risk it. We're just gonna have him assassinated and call it a day. Just absolutely avoid that. These people keep doing weird shit. They can summon webs out of thin air. No, this shit's crazy. We cannot let them summon a magic bridge.
Magic Bridge in my house? No.
So what happens when the bridge caller dies? Or do we have to find out that next cycle?
Ooh, good question. I guess the question I'm gonna leave hanging is, how does the bridge feel about that?
Oh, damn.
How does the bridge feel about that?
How does the bridge feel about that? Oh my god. We got the bridge Baba Yaga. The bridge Yaga. All right, well, we will maybe answer that question next week on Game Woven. Thank you for listening to Game Woven. Please give us a follow on Twitter at GameWoven, join the Discord, support us on Patreon, and consider leaving us a review on Apple, Spotify, or whatever host you normally use. This week's episode featured me, TT Benjamin, at TTBenjamin1 on Twitter. Lex at CallMeThey on Twitter, that's call_me_they. Brianna at BriannaJeans on Twitter. Zad at Zadkiel in green, that's Zadkiel in green on Twitter, and Rob at Rob B. Rolling on Twitter.